Hey everybody, I just finished the Vipassana 10-day meditation retreat, and several of you had expressed interest in hearing about my experiences after finishing, and here it is. I decided to make a video. I'm still here at the American Bodhi Center, somewhere in Texas. If you don't know, a Vipassana retreat is 10 hours of meditation per day for 10 consecutive days. Oh, and it just started raining. But oh well, I'm just gonna roll with it. During which you observe what's called noble silence. So there's no speaking, there's no communication of any kind. There's probably about 70 students altogether that's doing it. And there's no eye contact, there's no body gestures, signaling, there's no writing. As well as during this whole retreat, there's no listening to music, there's no reading, no writing, nothing. It is purely meditation, nothing else. The reason for not communicating with anybody else is because this is to be considered an isolated individual experience. So you get up at 4 in the morning, and I would take a cold shower. This wasn't required, it's not a rule to take a cold shower, but I did that so that I could wake up to instantly shock my system and be ready to go. First meditation is at 4:30 in the morning, 2 hours, 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. And let me tell you, this is the most difficult session of them all. Not only is it so early, but you're just starving. And you have breakfast, and it's like, I made it. It's like the victory breakfast. After going so long without food, and you're just starving. And for a while now, I've started to keep a daily gratitude journal. When I wake up in the morning, I'll write a couple things that I'm grateful for. But since during this retreat, there's no writing of any sort, so of course I couldn't do that. But instead, I just anchored that to meals. So whenever I was eating, I just took that as an opportunity to remind myself, just to mentally think about what it is that I'm grateful for. Mentally visualize what it is. And then at 7 p.m. each evening, there's an evening discourse, which is taught through video by Gonka. Correction, that is Goenka, who teaches you the technique of Vipassana meditation as well as Buddhist teachings. Teaches you principles such as impermanence, nothing lasts forever, everything is going to change. About craving, that you shouldn't crave material objects so much. Think about it, you want a sports car, and then you get the sports car and you're happy for a while, and then it just kind of becomes, that's just my sports car. I don't know, I'm not really happy anymore. I'm gonna get a helicopter. Then you get a helicopter, and that's cool for a while, you're shooting missiles. And it's like, that's kind of boring now. It's not really the same. And then you need to get a spaceship, and then you get a spaceship, and then you go to the moon, and then that's cool for a while, and then after a while, you're like, this moon's kind of small, it's not the same. I think I want to go to Mars. It's just this non-stop vicious cycle. I'm not saying you should give up all of your possessions, but he teaches about being equanimous. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. Equanimous. Basically, to observe things how they are without labeling them as good or bad. Which sounds a lot like what Eckhart Tolle was saying in The Power of Now. For example, he said, if you get stuck in the mud, you need to surrender to the situation. That doesn't mean that you just resign to the situation, give up, throw your hands up and say, I'm stuck in the mud forever. This is where I'm gonna die. No. You do what you have to do to get out of the situation, but you don't label it as bad or whatever and then get upset and hate life over it. Equanimous. Let's talk about some of the interesting meditation sessions. Now, I've never used acid before, but there's at least one session in particular where it felt like what I imagine a very, very light acid trip would be like. So I'm very still. This is on day 3. There's just no sensation of my body or even a floor underneath me. For all I knew, I could have been in outer space. It was almost as if the essence of my consciousness was removed from my body. It's just in a dark room or outer space or just in being. I don't know. And it felt like I was rotating. Like I'm in outer space floating and I'm just rotating now. And I was focusing on the darkness behind my eyelids, and there's just like these intense visuals. I don't remember exactly what they were, but there's just these intense visuals. During another time, I can't really describe it. It's really hard to describe. It was like body size distortion where I just couldn't tell how big my hands were. It felt as if my hands were gigantic. It's weird, it sounds crazy, it doesn't make any sense, but it felt as if time sped up and slowed down at the same time. I don't get it, it doesn't make sense, but that's what it felt like. I don't know, go figure. During this whole thing, there's complete segregation between men and women. This is to try to reduce distractions. It didn't work, because once you're in your own mind, I mean, things get weird. Without even trying, you know, you're just gonna start thinking about sex. Like, you can't help it.
Ay, papi, qué rico.
Yeah, things started getting kind of vivid. If you tried not to think about sex, you would probably think about it even more. During several of the sessions, I started seeing myself in different situations, doing great things, making great accomplishments. I don't want to call it visions, because visions kind of implies supernatural, as if like you're seeing into the future. It was as if the meditation allowed this constant negative chatter, this negative fog in my mind to subside, or at least partially subside, so that I was able to see myself in a much more positive light, in the way that I should see myself, without any sort of negative, self-defeating thoughts. I don't know if any of you guys experience this, but I've noticed on a regular basis I have a lot of negative thoughts. For example, it's kind of like rehearsing conversations that are influenced from previous negative experiences. Like maybe somebody had said something or done something to me that I didn't like, and it was as if I was rehearsing the conversation that I would have in response to that. It's not intentional, like my mind just automatically does it. But something that I started doing is that when I noticed myself doing that, the person that I'm, having this conversation with, wasn't a technique that was taught by the course, but when I noticed that I was having these negative, imaginary conversations in my head, I would think about this person that it is in reference to, and I'd have this negative energy and anger and this and that, and you know what I would do? You know what I would imagine? What do you think, female Buddha? I would imagine myself giving this person a hug and, just making amends. I'm apologizing, they're apologizing. Now, of course, this doesn't change reality. This doesn't alter what had happened, what might have happened in the past, but I noticed by doing this, it reduced these negative conversations in my head, because it allowed for closure. Something that I've learned is your mind is inside of your skull, and it's in this dark chamber, and it doesn't know the difference between reality and what you intently visualize. Try this. Close your eyes and think about jumping out of an airplane. You're 10,000 feet in the air, the door flies open, and you're about to jump out. Is your heart beating a little bit faster right now? Like I said, I would visualize myself hugging this person and then making amends. And it was a way to provide closure. I was superimposing this positive frame on whatever it was that might have happened, so that could be done and then move on. One thing I was mentioning in the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, is having a grudge against someone is like swallowing poison and expecting it to hurt the other person, but it just doesn't work that way. For me, meditation is like, if you compare this to a computer, periodically you restart your computer, you get this pop up and this pops up and this pops up, and you got this and that and this million things going on at the same time. The meditation is like stopping for a moment to restart your computer before you continue on with the madness of everyday life. Before doing this retreat, I didn't know if it'd be a one-time thing, but I now feel like this is something that would be great to do at least once a year, and maybe even a shorter 3-day retreat every month or every other month, just the same way that you would restart your computer periodically. It's healthy, continued maintenance. It's starting to rain a little bit harder out here, so I'm going to get out of here. But if you'd enjoyed this video, if anything that I had said had clicked with you, I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say, so comment below, share the video. Until next time, may all beings be happy. Thank you. Yes, I got it. I just found enlightenment. Ah, fuck, I just lost it.